Hello everyone, my name is Rosa and welcome to Yoga by Rosa. So today this video is about half pigeon pose, also known as Eka Pada Rajakapottasana. It's a beautiful name in Sanskrit. So I wanted to say to you, if you find it hard to come into pigeon pose, please know that it will come with repetition, patience, and a proper breath. So everybody of us has different bodies. We all have different histories with our bodies as well. So everybody progresses at his or her different rate, different rhythm. So if you don't come into the whole pose, like the whole forward fold, it is okay. Just be okay with it. This is your only body you have in this life, so treat it well and prevent it from injuries. So just step a little bit more back and love your body, love yourself. So for folded pigeon, it is really important to have strong glutes. If you have weak glutes, it's pretty hard to come into the folded version of pigeon pose. So we're gonna do a little warm up with some glute strengthening poses. If you have a block or a pillow or maybe a blanket nearby, please grab it and have it close to you. So we're gonna get started. Everybody comes to sit into Sukhasana, a cross-legged pose. And you can close your eyes if you like, and arrive on the mat. And maybe you can slightly, lightly, very lightly engage the pelvic floor muscles. And bring your lower belly in and up. Sitting tall, lengthen the spine. See the spine starting from the tailbone, going up through the spine and ending with the neck. The crown of the head is reaching towards the sky, and relax the arms and the face muscles. Maybe you like to set an intention for this practice or for the day. And then if you like, you can open up your eyes or keep them closed for a while. And with an inhale, bring your arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Place your hands wherever they land, and with every inhale you lengthen from the tailbone through the spine to the neck to the crown of the head. And with every exhale you maybe fold a little bit deeper. Making sure the sitting bones are still touching the mat. And with your next inhale, you walk your hands up and bring that other leg in front. Inhale, bring your arms all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands wherever they land. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Breathing in through that hip. This side may feel totally different than the other side. Just observe what's happening. Again, with your next inhale, you walk your hands up and come onto hands and knees. So make sure your wrists are underneath your shoulders and your knees are underneath your hips. Your spine is in a neutral position. And then with an inhale, you bring your right knee up to the side and bring it as high as your hip, as high as you can, but not higher than your hip. And with an exhale, bring it down. Inhale, bring your knee up to the side. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, bring your knee up to the side. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. And exhale. One more time. Inhale, bring your knee as high as the hip. Exhale, bring it down. Going to the other side. With an inhale, you bring your left knee up as high as your hip. But not higher. Make it as high as you can, but not higher than your hip. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, bring your knee high. Exhale, down. Inhale, bring your knee up high. Exhale, down. And one more time. Inhale, bring your knee as high as your hip. Exhale, down. And bring your knees as wide as the mat. Your big toes to touch in the middle of the mat. And bring your hips towards your heels. Spread your arms out in front of you. Your forehead onto the mat into a child's pose. Now first hip opener. Then come into hands and knees again. Make sure your hips are underneath your knees are underneath your hips again, and your feet are hip distance apart. And bring the toes under and bring your hips towards your heels. Then press the ball of the feet into the mat and come up into your first downward facing dog. Maybe you like to pedal the feet out. Maybe you like to shake your head, yes and no. Then look to the front of the mat, bend the knees and walk your feet towards your hands. Bring your feet hip distance apart and grab the opposite elbow. Maybe you like to sway side to side in this ragdoll pose. Then let go of the elbows, bringing the big toes to touch in the middle of the mat. And your heels are slightly apart. Bend your knees deeply, making sure you can touch the ground with your fingertips. Then with an inhale, you bring your arms up into Utkatasana, chair pose. Sit deep, see if you can see your toes, see if you can see your knees in one line. Belly in, shoulders relaxed. And then with an exhale, straighten your legs and bring your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms and bring your feet back into a plank pose. Inhale here. And then with an exhale, you're coming all the way or halfway down. Roll over the toes into a cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Now with your next inhale, bring your right leg up. Bend your right knee so you open up the hip. So you can stay here, or if you want, you can come into a wild thing. Bringing your right foot behind you. Your right hand comes off of the mat. Open up your heart. And bring your hips up high. Then look down to the mat again. Place your right hand, your right leg goes up. And then plant your right foot next to your right thumb. Left knee comes down. Toes flat onto the mat. Inhale, bring your arms up, low lunge. Already feel an opening in the right hip. Then you can bring your left toes under. And see if you can bring your left knee off of the mat. Vinyasa, high lunge. Reach your left foot away from you. Your lower belly is in, shoulders relaxed. Exhale, warrior two. Your left foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat. Your right knee is on top of the right ankle. Look over your right fingertips. Feel the opening in the hip. And with your next exhale, you windmill the arms forward, plant your hands, bring your right foot back into a plank pose. Exhale all the way or halfway down. Inhale, roll over the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your left leg up. Bend that left knee, open up the hip. You can stay here or come into a wild thing. Bring your left foot behind you, left arm goes off of the mat. Open your heart, bring your hips up high. Oh, I love this pose, opening everything up. Then look down, plant your left hand. Your left leg goes up. Plant your left foot next to your left thumb. Your right knee comes down, toes flat. Inhale, arms up. Sink into that hip. Then bring your right toes under. Bring your right knee off of the mat. The right heel reaches backwards. Tailbone down. One inhale. And with an exhale, you come into a warrior two. Right foot parallel to the short edge of the mat. Left knee up. Right on top of that left ankle. Also your tailbone down here. Look over the left fingertips. Then windmill the arms forward. Plant your hands, come into a plank pose. Vinyasa. Exhale all the way or halfway down. Inhale, roll over your toes. And exhale. Downward facing dog. Breathing deep. Then look to your hands and walk your feet to the outside of the hands. So the toes are pointing out, your heels are going in, and then bend the knees. Going to sit into a squat, malasana. You can bring the hands in front of your heart. Your elbows against your knees. If this is really hard, you can also come into your toes. Maybe come to sit on something. Making sure your spine is lengthened. And then you can come to sit onto your sitting bones. Come to sit onto the front of the mat. Stretch your arms out in front of you. With an exhale, you're coming all the way down with control, using your core. And there you are. Bringing the heels a little bit more towards your sitting bones. So see if you can touch the heels with the fingertips. And bring the right leg straighten above you. You can roll the right ankle to the right and to the left. And bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Grab the left leg underneath the knee. And while you bring your left knee towards you, you bring your right knee more away from you. Flexing the right foot. Make sure your shoulders and your whole back are onto the mat. And place your left foot down, right leg goes up, and right foot comes down. Bring your left leg up, roll the ankle to the left, and to the right. And bring your left knee on top of the right thigh, grabbing the right leg underneath the knee. And bring your right knee towards you. Flex that left foot. And breathe into that hip. Then bring your right foot down, bring your left leg up and left leg down. Bringing both knees into the chest and grab with your hands underneath your knees. We're gonna rock and roll. Make sure when you do this you round the back 3 times, rolling over your back. And the 3rd time you plant your feet, plant your hands, and then come into your knees. Come to sit onto your heels, bringing your hands on top of your legs with the palm facing up or down. Closing the eyes. Maybe you remember your intention. Remember that you love your body, and that it's all good as long as you do it with patience, repetition, and a good alignment and breath. Then plant your hands onto the mat. Come onto hands and knees. Bring the toes under your hips towards your heels. And then press yourself into a downward facing dog. Then there are 2 ways to come into pigeon pose. One way, with both ways we bring the right leg up. And with the first way, you bring your right knee towards your right wrist and your right foot towards your left wrist. And then you plant your left knee down and your left toes flat. The other way, if you are in a 3-legged dog, so with the right leg up, you plant your right foot next to your right thumb. And then you walk your right foot to your left wrist, bringing that right knee down, and then bring your left knee down and your left toes flat. So one of the two ways. And you look over your left shoulder to check if your left hip is in line, your left leg is in line with the left hip. And you can look forward again. So you can always bring your left toes underneath you to relieve the tension in the hip more. You can also always bring something underneath that right hip. So check if you want to do such a thing. Then I'm going to talk about the modification. So you can stay here. Oh, you can always stay here instead of folding forward. So you can stay here. The other modification is what we just did on the ground, eye of the needle. So you come onto the back, bringing your right knee over your left thigh and bring your left knee towards you while you bring the right knee away from you. So, and the other one is to do a seated pigeon. So you do actually the same thing, the right ankle over the left thigh, plant your left foot onto the mat, making sure your spine is straight. This is really nice if you have back pain. If you're doing this pose every day, you will relieve your back pain. If you bring the belly in, your shoulders are away from your ears. So if you are in the pigeon pose, you are up here. Make sure you flex the right toes. So if you flex the hand, you do this. If you're pointing, you're doing this, but you flex only the toes, the right toes, so only the top of the feet, of the foot actually. So with an inhale, you lengthen the spine. You don't do a back bend, you only lengthen. With an exhale, you fold forward. Bring your forehead onto the mat or maybe onto your hands. Maybe you bring a block underneath your forehead or a cushion, whatever feels nice. And make sure you also relax the shoulders over here. Maybe you bring your elbows and your shoulders a little bit more wider to do so. And just breathe deeply. So if you have any pain in the knee, you really don't want to be in a folded pigeon, and you can do the supine pigeon on your back. And see if there's a difference between discomfort and pain. If it's discomfort, try to breathe through it. If it's pain, come out and do something else, another hip opener. So with your next inhale, you walk your hands up, plant your hands, fingers wide spread. Bring your left toes under and come into a downward facing dog. Pedaling the feet out. Feeling the difference between one side and the other. And then we're going to the other side. So with an inhale, you bring your left leg up. With an exhale, you can do two things. One thing is you bring your left knee towards your left wrist and your left foot to your right wrist. The other way is to bring your left foot next to your left thumb. Then everybody plants their right knee down, toes flat. If you are in a low lunge, bring your left foot towards your right wrist. Bring your left knee down. Look over your right shoulder if you can see if your right leg is in line with your right hip. Then look forward again. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forwards. So if this is really not an option, you can always bring your right toes under to relieve some tension in the hip. You can always bring something underneath that left hip. You can also just stay up here, bringing your shoulders back. You can also come into a supine pigeon. So bringing the left ankle on your right thigh and bringing your right knee towards your chest while you bring your left knee away from you. You can also come to sit with your fingers facing backwards. Left ankle on your right thigh, making sure you straighten, you lengthen the spine. So wherever you are, try to breathe deeply. Flexing the right, your left toes this time. So almost nobody can bring that front leg in a 90-degree angle in a folded pigeon. So no worries if it's more closer towards your right hip. A strong hip opener, a lot of emotions can come up. Just observe. Don't judge them, don't get attached to them. Just observe them and let them float away. And with your next inhale, you walk your hands up, plant your hands, bring your right toes under, and come into your last downward facing dog. Pedal the feet out. So if I say just observe, just let them flow away. I know it's not always easy. Try to be present and focus on your breath. This is not easy. And bend your knees, bring your knees onto the mat. If you want to come into a Shavasana, please join. I will let you know when to come out. Come to lay onto your back. Your arms alongside the body with the palms facing up. Your feet fall out to the side. Be proud of yourself. And let go of any controlled breathing or tension. This is the time where you don't have to do anything. Let's come out of Shavasana. You can bring some movements back into your body. Maybe the toes and the ankles. Roll the fingers, roll the wrists. Maybe you like to roll your head from side to side. And you can bring your knees into the chest. And then roll over to your right side. And then slowly come up to a seated position. Just how you started this practice. And bring your hands in front of your heart into Anjali Mudra prayer position. And be thankful for this day and for yourself. And remember your intention. Bring your hands in front of your forehead. I would like to thank you very much. Namaste. So thank you. If you have any questions or feedback, I would love to hear it. If you like this video, please like it and maybe subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much. Have a good day.